today's thought. There is a quiet strength in simply letting things be, not forcing, not fighting, not judging, just seeing what is here right now and allowing it to exist as it is. So much of our suffering begins when we start to push against reality. We want the weather to be different, our job to be easier, our partner to understand us better. We cling to the idea that life should match our plans, and when it doesn't, we tighten. That tightening is the beginning of pain. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering is attachment, not only to possessions, but to our thoughts, our opinions, even our sense of self. When we cling to the idea of how things ought to be, we turn away from how things are. And yet life always unfolds as it must. The rain falls when it falls. The flower blooms when it's ready. We cannot argue with the season. To live as it is does not mean resignation. It means we stop adding our resistance to what already exists. We still act, we still care, but our heart no longer fights the present moment. When we drop our inner struggle, peace returns on its own. It's not something we create. It's what remains when the noise settles. Imagine holding a handful of water. If you squeeze tightly, the water escapes through your fingers, but if you loosen your hand, it rests there quietly. The same is true for life. When we relax our grip on how things must be, what's meant for us naturally stays. Sometimes we believe that being calm means being passive, but true calmness is active awareness. It's the courage to stay present without running away. When anger arises, we don't deny it. When sadness comes, we don't rush to fix it. We simply observe, this is what anger feels like. This is what sadness feels like. And in that seeing, the storm begins to lose its power. The first step to freedom is noticing when we start to harden, when the shoulders tighten, when the breath shortens, when the mind starts arguing with what is. That's the moment to pause, to breathe, to remember, I don't have to hold this so tightly. Living as it is also means accepting imperfection in ourselves and others. We spend years polishing the idea of who we should be, kinder, wiser, more successful. But the more we chase perfection, the farther we drift from peace. The Buddha's path is not about becoming something better. It's about uncovering what's already whole. Like clouds passing over the moon, our flaws and worries only hide, but never destroy our natural light. In one of the old sayings, it's written, when the mind is still, the whole world surrenders. That stillness doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. Trust that we can meet life as it is, and that it will unfold as it must. When we learn to trust the flow, we no longer demand that every wave bend to our will. We learn to float. Sometimes letting things be means letting people be. Not everyone will understand us. Not every conversation will go the way we wish. When we allow others their own pace, their own journey, we stop carrying the heavy wish that they would change. Love becomes lighter. We begin to see that kindness is not control, it is spaciousness. The world softens when we do. When our gaze is gentle, the same street looks different. The same noise feels less sharp. Peace doesn't come from fixing everything around us. It comes from loosening the knot inside. So tonight, or whenever you listen, notice what you're holding on to. A thought that won't leave, a mistake from the past, a plan that hasn't gone your way. Breathe in and imagine setting it down just for now. You don't have to throw it away. Just rest it beside you. Let it breathe too. This is the practice of being as it is. the practice of returning again and again to the quiet truth. Nothing needs to be different for this moment to be enough. From that place, even ordinary moments begin to shine. The sound of a kettle, the rhythm of your breath, the soft weight of your own body resting on the earth. Each one whispering the same thing. There's nothing wrong with now, nothing missing, nothing to fix. Only this unfolding life, just as it is. Joy does not appear when life becomes perfect. It blooms quietly when we stop demanding perfection. To enjoy life is not to chase pleasure. It is to find the gentle sweetness already hidden in the ordinary. When we think of joy, we often imagine excitement, laughter, success. But real joy is quieter than that. It hides in small things, the sound of rain, the scent of tea, the warmth of sunlight on your face. It lives in moments that ask for no applause. Many people believe happiness is somewhere far ahead, after we finish this project, after we fix that problem, after we become someone better. But as we keep chasing, the finish line moves away. We run faster, but joy stays still. The truth is, it never left. It's been waiting here, in the pause between two breaths. To enjoy life as it is, we must loosen the grip of comparison. The mind loves to measure who has more, who looks happier, who seems freer. But joy cannot be measured. It disappears the moment we turn it into a contest. When we stop comparing, even the smallest thing feels like a gift. A cup of plain rice becomes a feast. A simple conversation becomes a song. There is a story that says the Buddha once smiled at a flower. He said nothing, just held it up. One disciple understood that silence and smiled back. That moment became known as the birth of wordless teaching. Sometimes joy doesn't need words. It's a quiet recognition between your heart and the world. I see you. You're enough. When we learn to enjoy things deeply, we start to live slowly. We no longer rush through experiences, trying to collect them like souvenirs. Instead, we let them touch us. Even washing dishes, folding laundry, walking to the train, these become small ceremonies, moments where we meet life directly without decoration. But there's another side of joy, the courage to laugh at ourselves. We take our failures so seriously. We replay mistakes again and again as if they define us. But the wise laugh softly at their own clumsiness, not from arrogance, but from understanding. They know that life, too, sometimes trips, that even the path to enlightenment has loose stones and muddy patches. And yet it is beautiful. To enjoy means to embrace the imperfect rhythm of being alive. There will be noise, confusion, and tears, but joy is not canceled by sadness. They can coexist like night and stars. One makes the other shine more clearly. When you stop fighting the rain, even the storm feels alive. In this way, joy is not something we receive. It's something we notice. It appears the moment we open the hand that's been trying to grasp it. The moment we realize that even this breath, this body, this small heartbeat is already a miracle. Sometimes the simplest practice is to pause and ask, what is good right now? Not what could be good or what was good yesterday, but what is good now in this exact unedited moment. Maybe it's the sound of the wind. Maybe it's the fact that you are still here, breathing, listening. When you ask sincerely, the answer is always near. The more we enjoy, the less we fear, because fear feeds on the unknown and joy lives in the known. This touch, this breath, this second. When we dwell in it fully, fear has nowhere to sit. It dissolves like mist in the morning sun. To enjoy life is to be intimate with it, not to own it, not to control it, but to join it, to be moved by it as music moves the body. Sometimes it's soft, sometimes loud, sometimes silent, but always part of the same song. When we let ourselves sway with it, even sorrow becomes a verse we can hum. So tonight, as you listen, try this. Let your thoughts slow down until you can feel the quiet pulse of being alive. There's nothing to fix, no test to pass, only this moment, full, fleeting, and kind. And in that stillness, you might feel it, a small, unassuming joy rising from the simplest thing. The sound of your own breath saying, "This is enough." Simplicity is not about having less. It's about needing less. It's not about empty rooms or white walls. It's about a quiet heart. We live surrounded by noise, not just sounds, but opinions, worries, and what-ifs. We fill our minds like drawers that can't close anymore, and then we wonder why we feel so heavy. The Buddha said, "A wise person carries only what is necessary." That doesn't mean we abandon life. It means we stop carrying what was never ours to begin with. Simplicity begins when we start noticing how much we hold. We hold grudges. We hold plans. We hold the need to be understood. Every should and must becomes a stone in the bag we drag behind us. No wonder we feel tired. If we put one down, even for a moment, the world doesn't collapse. It becomes lighter. Many people think simplicity means doing less, but it's deeper than that. It's about doing what matters. When we clear the clutter from our attention, we rediscover the quiet joy of small actions, sweeping the floor, brewing tea, walking without purpose. Each becomes complete when it's done with presence. When the hand moves, the mind moves with it. No past, no future, just this gentle now. To live simply is to stop arguing with time. We rush thinking we can catch it, but time isn't running ahead. It's unfolding right here. When we hurry, we leave ourselves behind. But when we slow down, the ordinary turns sacred. A bowl of soup, a breeze through the window. They speak softly to the one who listens. Simplicity also means honesty. We spend so much energy trying to be liked, to appear competent, to protect our image. But peace begins when we stop performing, when we allow ourselves to say, "I don't know, I was wrong, I need help." The heart relaxes. True humility is a form of rest. It frees us from the exhausting task of pretending. There's beauty in unfinished things, in chipped cups, faded books, wrinkled hands. They remind us that life isn't meant to stay polished. When we stop chasing perfection, we begin to see the soul in everything worn and simple. The old wooden table becomes a story. The silence between two people becomes a kind of prayer. Some people think peace will come once they organize everything, but order alone is not simplicity. You can have a perfectly tidy home and still a storming mind. Simplicity is inner spaciousness, the ability to let each thought come and go without decorating it with judgment. When anger arises, we see it. When it fades, we let it fade. Nothing to add, nothing to hide. To be simple is to be close to nature. The tree does not compare its height. The river does not argue with its direction. They move because movement is their nature. When we live that way, gently, naturally, without resistance. Life stops feeling like a competition. It starts feeling like a rhythm. You may notice that when the room is quiet, your senses awaken. You hear more clearly. You feel your breath more deeply. That's what happens when the heart becomes simple. Awareness returns, and awareness is the doorway to wisdom, because when you truly see what is, confusion dissolves on its own. Sometimes we think complexity means intelligence, but the deepest truths are simple. Everything changes, everything passes, kindness matters. We suffer when we forget these, and we heal when we remember. So tonight, let yourself breathe into that simplicity. You don't need to solve anything. You don't need to plan the next moment. Just listen, feel how each breath enters without asking and leaves without regret. The body knows how to live simply. It doesn't cling to the last inhale or chase the next. It just moves with the rhythm of life itself. And in that rhythm, there's peace. Not dramatic, not distant, just steady, quiet peace. The kind that stays even when the world gets loud again. The kind that doesn't demand silence, but carries silence inside. To be compassionate is to see yourself in another's pain, not to pity, not to fix, but to understand. The Buddha once said that compassion and wisdom are like two wings of the same bird. One cannot fly without the other. Wisdom sees clearly, compassion feels deeply. Together they lift the heart above judgment. When we meet someone's anger, we usually meet it with our own, but compassion pauses. It looks beyond the words and sees the wound underneath. It asks softly, what must this person be feeling to act this way? That question alone can transform an encounter. It turns a wall into a window. Real compassion begins when we stop dividing the world into good and bad, right and wrong, us and them. Those labels feel safe, but they blind us to our shared humanity. Even the person we call enemy is breathing the same air, yearning for happiness, fearing loss. When we remember that, our heart loosens its armor. Yet compassion does not mean saying yes to everything. It is not weakness. Sometimes compassion says no, gently, firmly, when no is the kindest thing. To enable harm is not love. True kindness protects both sides. It knows when to step back, when to stay silent, when to speak truthfully without anger. We often think compassion must be grand, like saving the world or healing the sick, but it's made of small gestures, a steady gaze when someone feels unseen, a patient ear when no one else listens, a quiet forgiveness that expects nothing in return. Such acts ripple farther than we imagine. They change the atmosphere of a room, the tone of a conversation, even the course of a life. To live with compassion is to make space for people to be imperfect, space for ourselves to begin again. We're all carrying stories no one else can see. When we hold that truth, judgment softens. We stop demanding perfection from others because we've stopped demanding it from ourselves. Anger can feel powerful, but it's brittle. Compassion is softer, yet unbreakable. When you respond with understanding instead of resentment, you may still feel pain, but it will not consume you. Like a candle lighting another candle, your flame remains whole. That's the quiet strength of compassion. It gives without losing. There's a teaching that says, When your heart becomes wide enough, even suffering can sit inside it without drowning you. It doesn't mean we enjoy pain. It means we can hold it without hatred. We can see its shape, its cause, and let it pass when it's ready. That is the heart of a bodhisattva, one who stays open amid all the storms of life. Compassion begins inward. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. When you're harsh with yourself, you'll find it hard to be gentle with others. But when you learn to forgive your own stumbles, you naturally start forgiving the world. Self-kindness isn't selfish. It's the soil from which all kindness grows. You can practice compassion anywhere, in a crowded train, noticing a tired face, in traffic, letting someone merge before you, in silence, sending a small wish, may this person be free from suffering. No one needs to know. It's between your heart and the universe. Each small kindness adds light to the world's quiet places. And when you are the one in pain, remember that compassion also means allowing others to care for you, to accept help without shame, to receive without debt. Giving and receiving are two sides of the same breath. When you let someone give, you give them the joy of giving. To live with compassion is to live with open eyes, seeing joy and sorrow side by side and bowing to both. Because every heart you meet, even your own, is doing its best to awaken. And that understanding, soft and steady, is where real peace begins. To be free is not to escape. It is to stop being ruled by what happens. Freedom is not found by running away from pain, but by no longer being chained to it. Even in a busy city, even in the middle of noise, a free person carries quiet inside. They still feel sadness. They still face difficulty, but those feelings pass through them like wind through an open door. Most of us live surrounded by invisible strings. We tie them ourselves to what others think, to how we look, to what we own, to how life should go. Then we wonder why it hurts to move. The Buddha compared attachment to a flame leaning toward the wind. It flickers, trembles, burns unevenly. When we let go, the flame steadies. Freedom is that steady flame. To live freely, we must first see the cage we built. The bars are made of thoughts. I can't, I must, they should, I'm not enough. Each thought feels solid until we look closely. Then we see they are just words passing through the mind. The cage was never locked. The key has always been in our hand. Freedom doesn't mean having no responsibilities. It means we no longer carry them with resentment. We still care for our families. We still work. We still serve, but without the bitterness of why me? When love replaces obligation, duty turns light. The same actions done from peace no longer drain us. One of the simplest ways to taste freedom is to stop arguing with yesterday. We replay old scenes saying, I should have said this, I should have done that, but the past cannot hear us. It's like shouting to a mountain that has already moved. Forgiveness is the only real conversation we can have with what's gone, and when we forgive, the mountain inside us moves too. We also chase the future as if it were a train about to leave, but freedom lives between the doors of past and future in the still platform of now. To rest in this moment without grasping or pushing away is to meet eternity in its simplest form. This is not mystical, it's practical. The mind that stays here suffers less. You might think letting go means losing, but in truth, we gain what we already have. When we drop our need to control, we rediscover trust. When we release judgment, we rediscover love. The sky does not lose the clouds when they drift away. It only becomes visible again. Freedom also means not being enslaved by pleasure. It's easy to see suffering and pain, but craving is a gentler chain. It whispers, just one more, just a little longer, but satisfaction never comes that way. The moment we can enjoy something and then put it down, even while it's still pleasant, we taste a rare joy, the joy of being master of our own desire. There is freedom too in silence. When we stop filling every space with our voice, we begin to hear life speak, the wind through leaves, a child's laughter, the heartbeat that has been keeping time since before we were aware of it. Silence isn't emptiness. It's the background that makes all sound possible. To be free is not to float above the world. It's to walk through it lightly, to meet people without labels, to face change without fear. It's knowing that loss and gain are both temporary guests. Bow to them, let them go. Nothing belongs to us, not even this breath, and yet each one is a gift. When the mind stops clinging, life becomes surprisingly tender. Every sight, every sound, every passing moment feels new because nothing is trapped in the net of mine. You look at the world not as an owner, but as a traveler who marvels at what is before leaving, and in that humility the heart finally rests. Freedom isn't something we reach, it's what remains when we stop holding, like a bird that realizes the sky was never closed. It was only waiting for the wings to open. To live with gratitude is to awaken to what is already here. We spend so much time searching for what's missing that we forget to see what has quietly stayed, the breath that arrives without asking, the body that has carried us through countless days, the people who have, in their own imperfect ways, loved us enough to keep us standing. Gratitude doesn't depend on everything being right. It begins when we stop measuring life by what we lack. A single sip of water, when noticed deeply, can be enough to humble the heart. A kind word can echo for years. When we slow down and look closely, we see that even the smallest things are offering themselves. The sky lending us its color, the earth holding our steps, the air moving softly through our lungs. Nothing was ever ordinary. We just stopped looking. The Buddha once said that a grateful mind is a great mind because gratitude turns confusion into clarity. When we are thankful, even for difficulties, our hearts stop fighting reality. We begin to see that challenges, too, have carried hidden gifts, a delay that taught patience, a loss that deepened compassion, pain that became understanding. When we bow to life, even in its storms, the storms lose their need to destroy us. To be grateful is not to deny sorrow. It's to recognize that sorrow exists alongside grace, that both are woven into the same fabric. When we can hold joy and grief in the same hand, we begin to taste the wholeness of being alive. Gratitude is that wholeness made visible, the quiet thank you that does not erase pain but illuminates it. So many of our complaints come from forgetting how fragile everything is. We assume there will be another morning, another meal, another friend waiting for our message, but nothing is guaranteed. This moment, right here, right now, is already disappearing as we speak. When we realize that, we stop rushing. We soften. We start to treat the world not as a problem to solve, but as a gift to notice before it fades. gratitude also means remembering those who made our life possible, the farmers we never met, the teachers who once believed in us, the hands that built the roads we walk on. The network of unseen kindness is vast. Every life rests on countless others. When we see this clearly, arrogance falls away. We understand that we have never lived alone. Even in times of hardship, there is always something left to thank. The breath that keeps moving, the chance to begin again, the wisdom to see what still remains instead of what has gone. When we whisper thank you to life itself, we invite peace to return. The heart that thanks cannot hate at the same time. It simply opens, and that opening is the beginning of healing. Gratitude doesn't need grand gestures. It lives in small acknowledgments, folding the blanket slowly in the morning, greeting the day without hurry, touching a cup with both hands before drinking. Each gesture says, I am here, and this is enough. When we live like that, every act becomes prayer. Every breath becomes a bridge between giving and receiving. And there is one more secret about gratitude. It deepens when shared. When we say thank you aloud, when we write it, when we look someone in the eyes and let them know they matter, the circle of grace widens. It's not the words themselves, but the presence behind them that transforms the air around us. A sincere thank you is a form of love. As you rest tonight, notice what has quietly supported you today, the floor beneath you, the breath that never demanded praise, the pulse that stayed with you through every moment of doubt. They have all been waiting for your attention, not for worship, but for recognition. And when you finally see them, when your heart whispers its simple thank you, the whole world answers in silence. To live without fear is not to be fearless. It is to walk with fear and yet not let it lead. Fear is part of being alive, a messenger, not an enemy. It warns, it protects, but when it rules the mind, it builds walls where doors could be. Freedom from fear begins not with courage, but with honesty, admitting we are afraid. We fear losing what we love. We fear failing, aging, being forgotten. We fear the unknown, the unseen, the uncontrollable. But if we look carefully, all fear grows from the same seed, the wish for things to stay the same. We want the body not to change, relationships not to shift, the world not to move, yet life is movement. Trying to freeze it is like trying to stop the tide with our hands. The Buddha once said that the root of fear is ignorance, not stupidity, but forgetting the truth of impermanence. When we remember that everything changes, fear loses its teeth. Because what is born must fade. What fades makes room for what's next. When we accept that rhythm, fear turns into reverence. The unknown is no longer an enemy. It becomes the doorway to wonder. To live without fear is to see that uncertainty is not danger. It is possibility, a blank page before the next chapter. We don't need to predict tomorrow to trust it. We only need to meet it with awareness, one breath at a time. Fear thrives in imagined futures. It cannot survive in the present. When fear appears, don't push it away. Notice it. Where does it live in the body, in the stomach, the throat, the chest? Breathe there. Give it space. Most fears shrink when they're not being chased away. The act of looking directly is itself an act of courage. There is wisdom in small steps. We don't have to leap into the unknown. We can walk. When the mind says, I can't, Take one small step anyway. Courage doesn't roar. It's the quiet persistence that moves even while trembling. Each gentle step weakens the illusion that fear is in control. We often think the opposite of fear is bravery, but it's actually love. Love opens what fear closes. Love looks at the same uncertainty and says, even here I choose to care. When your heart is filled with love for a person, for a cause, for life itself, fear loses its voice. It may whisper still, but it cannot command. Sometimes fear hides behind anger or judgment. We defend ourselves before anyone attacks because fear tells us we must. But when we see the fear beneath the armor, we realize it was only trying to protect our tenderness. Then we can thank it and gently ask it to rest. A kind awareness disarms what aggression never could. The more we practice awareness, the smaller fear becomes, because fear feeds on confusion. When we see clearly, this is fear, this is its story, we no longer believe every word it says. The clouds of anxiety pass, and behind them we glimpse the wide sky of mind itself, open, calm, and vast. That sky has never been harmed by passing storms. Fear also lessens when we live truthfully. A dishonest life requires constant hiding. We fear being discovered, being seen. But when we live simply and sincerely, there is nothing to protect, nothing to lose. Truth is a shelter no storm can touch. One day we realize that even death, the shadow behind all fears, is not an end, but a return. Everything we are came from this same flowing cycle. To fight death is to fight life. When we bow to impermanence, we begin to live fully, not forever. So, to live without fear is to live awake. Not blind to danger, but aware that our deepest safety doesn't come from control. It comes from presence, from knowing that in this exact moment we are whole, breathing, alive. Fear may knock at the door, but it cannot enter when the house is filled with light. To live in peace is to live in harmony with what is, not the peace of silence or distance, but the peace that exists even within sound and movement. It's the still center of a turning world, a calm that doesn't depend on quiet surroundings. True peace doesn't mean life has stopped hurting you. It means the hurt no longer defines you. It's when anger rises, but you don't obey it. When sadness visits, but you no longer drown. Peace doesn't erase emotions, it steadies them. It lets everything come and go without losing balance. The Buddha compared peace to a lake. When the surface is calm, it reflects the sky clearly. When stirred by wind, the reflection breaks, but the lake itself never disappears. Our minds are the same. Even when stirred by thought or fear, the depth of calm remains untouched underneath. Meditation is the practice of remembering that depth. We keep searching for peace outside, in a perfect home, a perfect partner, a perfect plan. But outer order can never fill an inner void. Peace is not built, it's uncovered. It has always been there, waiting under the noise. We don't have to earn it, we just have to stop leaving it. To find peace, we must first allow things to be imperfect. Perfectionism is the mind's rebellion against reality. It says, I'll rest once everything is fixed. But peace says, rest first, and clarity will come. When we calm the heart, the right action naturally reveals itself. A quiet mind is wiser than a clever one. Peace grows when we drop our need to win. We cling to being right, to having the last word, to proving our worth. But each victory of ego leaves another scar. When we choose understanding over triumph, both sides win. That's not surrender. That's maturity. It's the difference between heat and warmth. Heat burns, warmth heals. Sometimes peace means saying less. Not every argument deserves an answer. Silence can be stronger than words. In silence, we can listen not only to others, but to what our own heart is whispering beneath pride and fear. That's where peace begins, not in convincing, but in listening. When you live in peace, you stop trying to fix others. You offer them space instead. A peaceful person doesn't force calm onto the world. They radiate it, and the world softens by itself. It's like lighting one candle in a dark room. The darkness doesn't fight back. It simply fades. Peace also means forgiveness, not for the sake of those who hurt us, but for the sake of our own freedom. Holding resentment is like drinking poison to harm another. When we forgive, we release the hand that was clutching the pain. The wound can finally breathe. And yet, peace isn't always gentle. Sometimes it means standing firm against harm, but doing so without hatred. Like a tree rooted deeply, it doesn't fight the wind. It bends without breaking. Firmness without violence, clarity without cruelty. That is peaceful strength. When we live with peace, even death loses its terror, because we see that what dies is form, not essence. The same way a wave returns to the ocean, we too return to what has always held us. Peace is knowing we were never separate. We were always the ocean pretending to be a wave. You can begin right where you are. Sit, breathe, listen. Let the mind wander if it must, and then invite it back with kindness. Each time you return to the present, peace grows a little stronger, like a seed watered with awareness. The practice isn't to keep still, but to keep returning over and over, softly, because peace isn't a place we reach. It's the rhythm of coming home, to breath, to body, to this moment. And when we finally rest here, the world around us changes too, not because it became quieter, but because we did. To live fully is to stop waiting for the perfect moment. It's to see that this moment, even with its mess and noise and uncertainty, is already complete. We postpone living, telling ourselves, after I succeed, after I heal, after things calm down. But life doesn't wait, it flows, and while we prepare for tomorrow, today quietly slips away. To live fully means to touch each day with awareness. When you walk, feel the earth beneath your feet. When you eat, taste the gift of what sustains you. When you speak, let your words carry warmth instead of habit. This is not some grand philosophy. It's the art of being awake to ordinary things. The sacred hides inside the simple, in laughter, in fatigue, in breath. Living fully doesn't mean filling your schedule. It means meeting what you do with your whole presence. A single act done mindfully has more life in it than 1,000 done absent-mindedly. When the heart and the moment meet completely, even washing a cup becomes alive. There's no before or after, only this one shining instant. To live fully is also to love deeply, not as possession, not as a trade, but as recognition. When we love, we see the divine in the other. We see that all beings, even those we barely know, are travelers like us, carrying dreams, fears, and the same wish to be understood. When we remember this, our interactions soften. We start to speak from care instead of control. That's where connection begins, in gentle seeing. Many people think living fully means chasing excitement or success, but fullness is not intensity, it's wholeness. It's the quiet knowing that everything we experience, joy, loss, boredom, beauty, all belong. When we allow every emotion to have its place, life becomes round, not flat. Even pain becomes part of the song. It deepens the melody instead of breaking it. To live fully is to stay curious, to ask, what is this moment trying to show me? Every situation, pleasant or hard, holds a lesson wrapped in disguise. The more we pay attention, the more the world reveals its subtle teachings. The stranger who smiles at you on a difficult day, the delay that saves you from rushing into harm. Life is always whispering guidance, but we must be quiet enough to hear it. Living fully also means daring to rest, to stop doing for a while without guilt. In stillness, the mind clears and the soul breathes. The modern world tells us that rest is laziness, but the truth is the opposite. Rest renews the roots that let us give more freely later. Without stillness, we exhaust our depth. A well that's never allowed to refill runs dry. To live fully is to accept that loss is part of the deal. Everything you love will change, and that is what makes it precious. A flower's beauty depends on its fragility. When you understand that, you no longer cling in fear. You cherish with tenderness. Grief becomes gratitude in another form. It's the proof that you've really lived. There will be days when you feel empty, when nothing seems sacred. Those are not wasted days. They are the quiet winter between seasons where roots grow unseen. Life expands and contracts. Even the heart must rest between beats. When we stop judging the pauses, we begin to see their purpose. To live fully is to live truthfully, to say what is kind, to do what feels honest, even when it costs approval. A false life may look smooth from the outside, but it erodes the inside. Truth may bring discomfort for a while, but it leaves the spirit light. Every time we choose truth, we strengthen our freedom. And finally, to live fully is to remember that each breath is unrepeatable. No one else will ever live this exact moment as you are living it now. When that truth settles in, gratitude rises naturally, and every sight, every sound, every fleeting experience feels illuminated. This is fullness, not something to find later, but something already blooming quietly inside you, in every inhale, in every heartbeat, in every second that you dare to truly be here. To let go is the quietest kind of courage. It's the strength to release what no longer serves, even when the hands still tremble. The world teaches us to hold dreams, hold people, hold identities, but clinging turns blessings into burdens. When we let go, what's meant to stay, stays. What leaves frees space for something new to arrive. Letting go doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without possession. You can love deeply and still allow change. The tree does not beg its leaves to remain. When autumn comes, it releases them without regret. That is not loss. It is trust in the seasons. We hold on because we fear emptiness. We believe that without certain people or outcomes, we'll be incomplete. But emptiness is not the enemy. It's the open sky waiting to be filled with light. The mind that dares to be empty becomes vast. It can receive anything because it clings to nothing. The Buddha taught that all suffering begins with attachment, not to things themselves, but to the idea that they must not change. When we resist change, we resist life. but when we flow with it, we find that loss is not destruction, it's transformation. The river that releases water to the sea is not diminished. It becomes part of something greater. Letting go also means forgiving. We think forgiveness is a gift to others, but it's really a gift to ourselves. The past cannot be changed by holding it tighter. Pain does not heal through repetition. When we release resentment, we allow the wound to breathe. It's not forgetting, it's remembering without poison. Sometimes what we must let go of is not people or events, but our own image of who we should be. We carry stories, the successful one, the strong one, the perfect one, but life keeps whispering, you are not a story. You are the awareness behind it, the space that remains after every title fades. When we loosen our identity, peace enters quietly, like sunlight through a window that's finally open. Letting go is not a single act, it's a daily practice. Each morning we can choose again to release what we cannot control, to forgive what still stings, to trust what we don't yet understand, to begin the day without yesterday's armor, and each evening to set down the weight we picked up unknowingly. This is how the heart learns to rest. When we stop clinging, gratitude naturally appears, because when nothing is demanded, everything is received as a gift. The sound of rain, the warmth of another's voice, the chance to breathe again, they all shine brighter when we no longer call them mine. Letting go doesn't make life smaller. It makes it infinite. There is a moment after the holding ends when the mind feels bare and uncertain. But if you stay still long enough, you'll feel something subtle, peace rising from beneath the silence. That peace was never gone. It was simply hidden under all the wanting. To let go is to trust that life knows what it's doing. We don't have to manage every detail. We don't have to fight every wave. The ocean carries us whether we resist or float. When we finally release the need to control the current, we discover we were never separate from it. And maybe that's the heart of it all, not to escape, not to hold, but to flow, to let each moment arrive and leave freely, to love fully and release gently, to live lightly enough that even sorrow can pass through without leaving scars. In the end, letting go is not the end of love or hope or meaning. It's their beginning, because only an open hand can receive. Only an unguarded heart can truly feel. Only a mind free from grasping can see things as they are, complete, fleeting, and perfectly enough. Sometimes peace does not come from words. It comes from sound, the sound that exists before thought, before self, before language. When we chant, we do not speak about truth. We enter it. The vibration carries us beyond the borders of understanding into the still space that holds all things. The Buddha once said that even a single verse chanted with a pure heart can open 1,000 gates of awakening. Each syllable becomes a step, each breath a bridge between the human and the boundless. The mind begins to soften, the heart begins to widen, and what was separate becomes whole again. The chanting you will soon hear was recorded at a temple on Mount Koya, where the air itself feels ancient. The sutras there are not performed, they are lived. They rise and fall like waves of prayer, sometimes deep as thunder, sometimes light as wind through pine. In those voices, you can hear centuries of devotion echoing through stone and forest. It is not a performance for the ear, it is a remembrance for the soul. When you listen, you may notice your own breath beginning to follow. The sound is not asking for meaning, it is asking for presence. Let it pass through you. Let the rhythm of the chant settle where words cannot reach. It is a language of vibration, a conversation between your heartbeat and the infinite. To chant is to bow with the voice. Each tone is an offering of fear, of hope, of longing, of gratitude. And as we offer them one by one, they dissolve into stillness. This is the essence of GASSHO, two hands meeting, not only in reverence, but in reunion, a joining of self and silence, of effort and release. You do not have to know the meaning of the sutras. Their meaning will know you. They touch a part of the mind that does not need translation. As the sound continues, you may feel something inside begin to quiet, a space opening, soft and wide. This is what the ancients called the return, not going anywhere but coming back to the center, to the breath, to the source. Let the chanting wash through you like rain over a mountain, like light over water. Each vibration cleanses what words have tangled. Each echo carries away a fragment of heaviness. There is no effort required, only the willingness to be still. And when the chanting fades, the silence that follows is not empty. It is full of presence, of listening, of quiet blessing. It is the echo of 1,000 voices resting in one breath. Now prepare to listen. Let the body rest. Let the mind grow vast. Allow the ancient voices of Mount Koya to reach you. They will guide you into stillness, gently, steadily, as if each note were a hand upon your heart. There is nothing left to do, only to rest. Let the breath settle, let the body sink, and simply listen. The quiet song of insects carries you deeper into calm. Their sound invites you to release what remains, to surrender to peace. These gentle sounds were recorded at a temple in the rich nature of Mount Koya. They are shared here through the GASSHO App, together with the chanting of sutras and guided meditations that follow the same still rhythm, always there whenever you wish to return to silence. Rest now, sleep now. The night is complete.